So hi, I'm Brianna. I am the Community Engagement Manager on the CIEE Global Navigator team. I work primarily with alumni and program leaders that have already gone on our trips to help expand the Global Navigator network and to help work on referring new students and expanding upon the experience that people already had over the summer and helping to bring that experience to more people. I myself was a program leader 2 years ago in Lisbon, so I am very excited to meet other program leaders. And yes, I have today with me my co-worker, Alexandra Burkhart, who works as a program leader coordinator. She works directly with the program leader teams with the hiring and the managing of everything and all of the logistics for program leaders to be on our program. So thank you, Alex, for coming. So we were supposed to be joined by a PL, Rainier as well, who was going to talk a bit about his referring. Unfortunately, he's unable to make it today, but that's okay. We still have a presentation, and I think I can give you some useful information to help you to refer your students to CIEE and get more kids going abroad, which is super exciting. So I'm not sure where you guys are in your referral process and if you know already how to get your referral code, but I'm gonna go step by step first with that. The first thing that you're gonna do is you're gonna log into your myciee.org account. Okay, so that same CIEE account that you use for managing everything else, you're gonna go into there, and that is where you're gonna be able to follow these steps and get your referral code. So then once you're in, on the right-hand side, you are going to see a refer a friend little banner, right? And in there, you can choose what program you are referring the student to, okay? So high school summer abroad is going to be, I think, the most common one, right? But you can also refer students to all of the other CIEE programs. But I would click on the high school summer abroad. That's the one that you're probably going to use to refer your high school students. You would click on that button, and that will take you here to a refer now, get my unique referral link page. Once you get this page, this text is what a student would see, but you would follow the same steps. You will click get my unique referral code. That will pop up, and that is your link. So now to refer students, you just give them this link. You have them go there, and from there, they have to start their new CIEE account and application. Okay, so it will take them to a page that looks just like this one, this CIEE one, my CIEE page, but it will be associated with your program leader account. And from there, they'll be able to start their application. Successful referrers, successful program leaders make this mess of an ugly link more accessible to students and easier to just grab and remember. So you could either here create a vanity URL. I'm sorry, I keep going back and forth. You can either here create a vanity URL, which you could just put in your name or anything like that and save it, and that could be an easier link to remember. But perhaps even easier is to create a tiny URL or use bit.ly to create a link. And the most convenient, I think, would be creating a QR code. So there's lots of different places that you can go to create free QR codes, but QR code monkey, you would go in, right? You just enter in your URL, create QR code right there, click that green button, and then once it's created, you'll be able to download the image file. And then people add that image file to, you know, to flyers, to posters, to Google Classroom, to presentations, something we'll talk about later on. But that way students can just pull out their phone and grab the image and get that link. So definitely super accessible, super easy.
Really quickly, can I also just say their program leader view is gonna look slightly different than the image in the step 2.
Oh,
So for them, it'll just say program leader refer a friend referrals, and then underneath it'll say high school summer abroad referrals. So it does look a little bit different, just in case folks were kind of looking at their account at the same time. It does look a little bit different, but the process is still the same.
okay. Sorry about that. Thank you. So then you can also always sign in and look at your status referral dashboard. And this way you can kind of monitor where students are at in their application process. So you can see if a student has opened up their application but hasn't really logged in since that first day, hasn't progressed in their application. You can see when students submit their application, and you can see when students get their decision that they've been accepted into the program as well. So this is definitely a great way to kind of monitor the status of that. And for example, in January, you'll probably get some emails from us reminding you of the deadline and asking you to log in to this referral dashboard and see, if you have students who still haven't completed their application, and maybe reach out to them and say, hey, remember, you have to submit your application by our January 24th scholarship deadline. And you can see how often they are logging into their account and everything. So some tips for, how to get that code out there, and I'm open to discussion as well if any of you have already done anything that is successful. But I think it's really just doing everything you can to get students to see that QR code, right? So either create flyers that you hang up in your classroom or around the school if your administration lets you, and flyers that you give to your own students, right, to take home with them to look at the information, and make sure that that QR code is always on it. Any kind of information that you give students about CIEE, include your QR code, because that way they will get a $200 discount off of their program, and you will get the credit for that referral. And we'll talk about some of the referral incentives in a minute. Post your referral code in your Google Classroom if you still use Google Classroom in your school, right? Or any sort of learning management system that you may use, right? Post it somewhere that students can always just go in and see it, and go in and grab that QR code and get that link to start their application. If you make a presentation in your class, if you want to talk about, your experience over the summer with CIEE and why it was so great, and some of the growth that you saw among students, and why you think your students should go abroad, and then include your referral code at the end or on every slide, even down in the corner, have your referral code there. I think these have all been ways that people have been really successful. Talk to your school administration, see what your school will allow in terms of dispersing that QR code. In terms of making presentations, perhaps you could organize even a bigger presentation outside of just your students, which takes me to my next suggestion, which would be to contact your local GEA. So GEAs are our global education ambassadors. They are our sales manager by each region. So I have here the list of our GEAs by our region and their email address. So take note now of your GEA and shoot them an email, invite them to invite them to come to your school to present. They would be so happy to get another school, and in January, we still have time. It's gonna be crunch time in January because our scholarship deadline is, like I said, January 24th, so we'll have about 3 weeks in January to get students really applying. So a GEA would be super glad to come and to help you make a presentation at your school, to help bring some extra materials and some information. But remember, as you do that, always have your QR code on hand, right? So that, and tell students, okay, you're interested, here's my QR code, get your discount, and then you will get that referral credit. So we have our territories are California North and California South. They are 2 different territories. So in California North, we have Ian, California South, we have Daniel. We have our Oregon and Washington representatives. We have Chris. Texas is also split in 2. So Texas North, which is Dallas, Fort Worth, and Houston, is Tanya. Tanya is also in charge of Colorado. I don't know where you guys are located. Texas South, the Austin metropolitan area, Lisa. We have Minnesota and Wisconsin, Jasmine. Illinois, we have Cecil. Brittany takes care of all New England and any international students that are looking to come. Sometimes we have boarding schools as well. Those all go to Brittany. New York State, New Jersey, and Connecticut go to Karen, and Skylar only has New York City and Long Island. Pennsylvania, we have Kay, and the DMV area, we have Amira. The Carolinas, we have Kiara, and Florida, Georgia, we have Lauren. So where are you guys located? If it's any state that it's not in this list, I think you can kind of just figure out what's closest by. New Mexico, would that?
New Mexico is gonna be part of the California South.
Okay. So Daniel. Anybody else have a state that's not on this list? No? Awesome. Great. And then just remember that you also have great incentives and reason to refer your students beyond the fact that it's just a program that you've done and that you hopefully love and want to see your students have that experience, right? I mean, I think that in itself is a great incentive. But CIEE also does offer rewards for our program leaders for their student referrals. So once students travel, we will count them on this rubric, right? We can't offer cash to teachers, so we offer other fun prizes. So if you refer 1 to 3 students, you would get a CIEE LL Bean fleece, which I'm in New England, so LL Bean, it's a big deal. I don't know how popular LL Bean is outside of New England, but it's a very nice company and it's a very high quality sweatshirt. And or an equivalent, you know, if you already have that sweatshirt. If you refer 4 to 5 students, every year we have a Global Educator Summit in a cool US city that is a conference with CIEE sales reps, our GEAs, and teachers and program leaders. This past year was in October. It was in New Orleans. So definitely we try to do them in cool, fun locations. 6 to 11 students, no chaperoning duties on your return flight. Amazing. I was a program leader, and so I know, and I'm sure you guys know, when I was 3 days out from returning, I just wanted to be teleported back home to Providence and had absolutely no desire to chaperone that flight back to the US. So that is an awesome opportunity to either just come home on your flight in peace or extend your trip, your vacation, stay abroad a little bit longer, right? If you refer more than 12 students, 2 round trip flights to any CIEE location, okay? Any CIE location, anywhere we have a center, we will pay you 2 plane tickets to go for vacation, have fun. So that is once you hit 12 students, you'll get those plane tickets, and then for every student after that, up to 5, you get an additional $100 in travel expenses reimbursed, right? So if you get 13 students, you get tickets and $100. If you get 17 students, you get tickets and $500. But then we stop it at that $500. So if you get 20 students, that's amazing, but we would cap it at the $500. But perhaps the most amazing of all and the most exciting is the trip to Merida not next month, not yet next month, almost next month. In February, we will have a program leader retreat in Merida, Mexico. And it's President's Day weekend, super exciting. I live, as I said, in New England, so nothing sounds better than going to Mexico in February, which I would say anybody in the northern United States is the worst month. So that's definitely an exciting opportunity, and that will be offered to our top program leader referrals. So we'll look at who has the most referrals at some point in January, and those program leaders will be invited on this all expense paid trip, right? Your flights, your lodging, your meals, everything will be taken care of by CIEE to come on this trip. So definitely a spectacular reason to start referring your students. So that's what I have. Do any of you have any questions, any suggestions, anything that you have done to refer students in your schools? Anything you need clarification on? No? Great. I hope that they're helpful. I think really just get that QR code and get it out there, right? Keep talking it up and make sure that that QR code is visible so that, a student doesn't go home and say, oh, wow, my teacher talked about this in class and it sounds awesome. But then they're going to go on the CIE website and create their account on their own, right? I went to a school in Virginia last month, and it was students with their QR codes, but this still applies, right? Students posted the QR code just on a big printout, the QR code the size of the piece of paper on the whiteboard in the classroom, right? And if you just put that in your classroom, get that in as many classrooms as you can, definitely, I think would be super helpful. If you have a social media presence, because it doesn't necessarily just need to be your own student, right? So I know students put a lot of QR codes in their social media bios. I know that probably if you have a social media presence, it's probably going to be other people your age, but maybe people have kids that they're interested in referring their students to. Kids that they're interested in sending on the trip, right? Maybe you have friends who would love to send their teenagers. I know I have my friends asking me all the time since I've started working with CIEE, like, when can I send my kid? When can I get my kid abroad? So definitely talk about it with friends and family and get that link out there. Yeah. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I saw a message and I didn't realize it was from Alex. Okay, cool. Good. So thank you for coming. There's an error retrieving data from the server on my phone.
Yes, Betsy, thank you for bringing that up. I was also going to mention that IT is currently working on getting that resolved. So hopefully they're able to get that resolved in the next couple of days. I haven't received an update from them, but they are working on it. Because yeah, there was some technical issue with a lot of folks' account that was happening this week, but they are working on it. They're usually pretty quick about things. So hopefully by the end of this week, it's back working. Sorry about that.
Awesome. No, thank you for that because I totally wasn't aware of that. I've been in schools this week, so I didn't even see that message. If we can account. Do you know anything about that, Alex?
I don't, I'm not sure about that, to be honest.
Okay. I think we reach out to IT or reach out to us to let us know, maybe send us an email so that we could forward it to IT.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I would definitely, if you could send us an email to let us know exactly what's going on with that Beacon account, we'll forward it to IT or maybe try to figure out how we can clarify that. So it will be easier, but I think once you get that link, right? Once you are able to. I see. I see. Okay. Maybe we can talk to Emily to see if there's some way that we could count that as PL referral credit. What do you think, Alex?
Yeah, I do think that Emily and Andrew may have been in conversation because we do have a small handful of PLs that are also LCs. So I do think that they're kind of in talks of how to kind of work that and see if those referrals can count as both or kind of how that's going to work. So I do know that they've been discussing that.
Okay, great. Yeah, then, okay, so now Betsy says they all show up under the PL, so that's great. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, well, that's all I have. If you have any more questions, feel free to stay on. If not, thank you so much for joining. I hope that you guys are, well, you're definitely close to break. And I hope that you all have a wonderful winter break, restful, happy holidays, happy new year. And thank you and hope to hear from you guys more in January.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.